Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and I've been in this trade a little bit here, and I bounced off my exit order a couple of times. But anyway, before I get to that, I wanted to go ahead and uh, just kind of set this trade up. I hadn't done a demonstration in a little bit, and people are always asking for them, so I'm going to do one here. I entered this trade. I did use a limit order here. I waited for it to break higher, and I used a limit order. I dropped it. So I snuck in a tick earlier than using a stop order here. But notice we had this trend channel working up. It looks like a trading range day. Let me tighten this up a bit. And you can see that. And we had this tight channel working up. We had a break, a move to a new high. And then we had this channel coming down. We didn't make a new low yet, so that may be why this one is kind of limited taking off here. But the main reason I look for this to take off is notice this, you got your channel working down, you got your break, you got one move down, you got a second move down, and it pretty much failed. And if you're counting off the lows, it's a first entry pullback, second entry short, and it's a failure. This is close enough for a retest. We tested the very low, and so now we're headed higher. And we bounced off my order here a couple of times, but that was the purpose for taking this trade. Was it's a second entry long, counting off the highs as well. Pull back first entry, pull back second entry. But for whatever reason, we just can't get any movement here. It's not really moving down, but we're not moving up. We bounced off my order a half a dozen times there, and I haven't got filled yet. So I've considered exiting this trade. But I'm going to sit tight here and see what happens. But the main thing I want to do was set this up and just show you why I took this long. It's also a retest of the highs of what I'm looking at possible highs of the range here. You can see this has been the highs all day long pretty much. And it's a retest of that as well. And we may get a new low here. They can't seem to get back. This was resistance previously, and it's acting as support, and they're really struggling to get it back through there. But we're struggling to go higher as well. So there's just not much movement going on here. And I may wish I'd have taken my tick. I almost took a tick or two on this one when I had it when we failed to go higher. And now we're trying to turn down. We'll just have to see. I'm going to leave my stop at 2 points because there's a very strong chance we tick down here one tick and then shoot back up, because that will then give us the new low. But I could get stopped out at 2 points too. So, but I've had a pretty good day today. I'm up. There's been some good trades, so I thought I would go ahead, and since I was in this trade and I've been sitting here just kind of bored, waiting on something to happen. And I've gotten while we're waiting and watching this, I did post a midday chart where I'm considering, most of you have read the post on the site that are regulars probably, but I'm considering doing a midday post for our premium members, just basically posting a chart, maybe 9:30, between 9:30 and 10:30, depending on how much price action we have, just to kind of see, to show people what I'm seeing at that point. And nothing much has changed here past this. There may be a bigger channel setting up here. I don't know. I haven't looked at it that closely. I've just been trading off this shorter term trend line stuff right here the last few trades. But that's the plan, is around 9:30, somewhere between 9:30 and 10:30, when we get enough price action to have an idea what the day looks like. And this obviously looks like a trading range day. And you can see we're still swinging on both sides of the range here. And maybe if I can get another touch up here, I ought to be close to getting filled, hopefully. There we go. Let's see if I can get filled on this thing. But anyway, back to the daily chart posting. I'll just post that chart with a picture of the chart, a few quick comments. I don't want to disrupt my trading or get into something that's real complicated. And there you go. So another winner there, nice setup. And it took a little while. You saw, and that's what I do see a lot of traders do. They will give up on this trade too soon. It was tempting there, and I had to fight that. But you see, it worked out, and it moved on through. And it No problems. And just for, and you can see the time on this trade because I can hear it now. Oh, he's running replay or something crazy like that. So 12:08 is the time on that bar right there. Let's just put the time up here. You can see it right there, 12:08, May the 1st. So there it is. Just so people, so we don't have that argument that, he's running replay or doing recording of something he did from, I don't even, I've never even used replay on NinjaTrader. I don't even know how to use it. I don't even know if I have it set up for that. I don't think I do. So I never use replay or anything like that. And I always get accused of things like that. So, but you saw it. I pulled up the time and date. And so, this was a live trade happening right at the moment. But let's go back real quick. Talk about the 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 midday chart. I'll try this. I'm not promising people that I'm gonna do it forever. I'm gonna try it for a couple of weeks and just see how it works out. People the comments so far have been very positive. Seems to be helpful. People want to see it. And so it took me, it was a little bit more difficult today because I had to set up the website. I don't want to clog up the website with a daily uh, chart, midday chart post. So I had to kind of finagle things. If you look, there will be a category, and you can either find it on the right hand side of the page or you can find it across the toolbars at the top, but it'll just say midday charts. And if you click on that, then that's where the charts will be. And you won't necessarily find them under the most recent post or anything like that. You have to find the category, the link that says midday post, and use that. And if you do that, it'll take you there. And we'll just make a new post each day for it. But I don't want to clog up um, the main where we put the articles. I don't want to make it hard to find the lesson and the articles and things like that. So I'm kind of trying to keep it separate. So if you're looking for the midday post, look for the link. It'll be across the top toolbar or on the right hand side of the page, and just click on that and it'll take it to you. And for now, I do have it listed only for the premium members. And we'll kick this around and see what we're going to do with it. And again, I'm not guaranteeing that I'll continue to do it, but I think it's going to be simple enough that I can do that each day when I'm trading. And my phone is ringing. This has been the craziest day, and I've got probably 80 emails to read. So if I haven't answered your email and you sent me one, you'll know why. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my throat's bothering me a little bit here. But it's been a crazy day. There's been 100 people knocking at my door today, and I've been trying to trade and trying to work on the midday chart in between, and trying to answer emails in between. And you don't want to get too distracted when you're trading because you can make some huge mistakes. And notice here, if I hadn't snuck in early on this, I might have gotten burned on this. But because of the fact that it wasn't a great signal bar, notice it didn't close on its high, and I waited on it to break higher, and then I just dropped my limit order, and I really could have gotten one tick better and even had a tick to play with there. But at this point, if I hadn't have snuck in early, this is a 4 tick failure. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them drop it down here. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see it get back in the range and keep going. Maybe there's even a bigger. I haven't played with this very much. I've just been, like I said, I've been working off the short-term trend lines, but it wouldn't surprise me if maybe there's a bigger trend channel here. It doesn't really look like it at this point. There's nothing here that really fits well. That's a possibility. Um, we'll see. I drilled off the first two swings there, and it does touch here, and we did get a little break outside. So we'll look at it. I'll leave it like it is for now. I'm actually going to move it for now because it looks more like trading range than it does a trend or a trend movement at this point. So, and hopefully that helps you see how I do this. But at this point, I'm playing more on the shorter term trend channels, and we got the break here. We got two legs down. We didn't quite get a new low, and I'm thinking that's probably why this may be hesitating to go higher. This was a great move right here, and there was a chance to get in this thing right here on this little correction, and nice move up to get you out before you get to this last high. And actually, the I originally had the range high. Yeah, that's where I had it originally, right there. It may have moved up just a little bit, and you can see that right across there. Let's go ahead and extend this across. But it looks like we're either going to make a new low before we go higher, or we're going to move back into this range. And we just don't have enough price action here to call this anything but still kind of a range looking day. And sometimes when they're trying to move prices higher and they just can't get it to go, that's when they'll set these traps up. So when you see this kind of stuff, be real leery about entering again, especially now that this one didn't go, this little trap didn't go any higher than that. But sometimes they're really struggling to take it higher, and that's where they want to go. They'll set a trap to the low side. They'll try to sucker everybody back in low, and then they'll reverse it again, or vice versa. Maybe they're trying to take it lower here and they couldn't, so they run it up and they sucker people in. And but that's why we scalp out, and that's why we look for good signal bars, and that's why if we don't have a good signal bar, you either skip the trade or you try to sneak in with a limit order and get a little better entry. Because if I hadn't have done that there, I wouldn't have. This trade wouldn't have worked. At least it wouldn't have worked yet. There's still a good possibility that we could go higher here, and it will work. But this is just still looking rangy. Look how flat that EMA is. Look how we're swinging to both sides. Be real careful entering in this, especially now that we've got another move to the upside that failed and a possible another move to the downside. It just looks like a tight, congestive type range. Um, it wouldn't surprise me if we've got this not first move up here that's really nice. So if we get, we could be working for a target of that. But I would think would be already going higher if that was going to be the case. So I'm not too keen on that target at this point. I've got to see prices heading higher and making new higher highs and higher lows before I would be looking for that target. So otherwise, I'd be looking for prices to either get back in this range and work in the range, or we'll get a trap here of some type and maybe then work higher. So, but that's pretty much it. I will just go over the trades I've seen so far this morning real quick, and then we're gonna call it a day. And but I got so bored during that trade there that I thought, hey, this would be a good time to show a trade. We were kind of working down through this right here. Not much happening at all right here when I came in. And the first trade I saw that was even semi close was right here. And I didn't even like that one because this is a trade. I mean, this is an obvious range right here. And you got an obvious double bottom. You got a little tight channel. You get a break. But by the time you can enter, you're back at these lows. And so I don't even like this trade right here. It's really a first entry short. So I didn't like it. So the first one I did like, and it's a little bit aggressive, was right here. I like that one to the long side. Um, and then this one to the upside again. But again, it's very similar. It's almost this turns out to almost be a repeat pattern. And that may be what this whole thing is a repeat pattern here. But and these need to be blue. I'll have to go back and let's get out of the draw mode. This one I'm gonna actually make it green. But it's a failed break out of a really tight range. It's real close to being a blue circle. This one I'm gonna make green as well. Just simply because you got to use a limit order. Let's just see. If you use a stop, your entry would have been 76. You still would have got out. So, but because that's not a great signal bar, and because there's been no break of that little channel working down, I just think it was risky to go long right there. So I'm gonna leave that. And then of course you get your move down, and And you might have even considered going short here, but I just think it's so close to these lows. And you can tell this is looking, notice how you're above the EMA, you're below, you're above the EMA, and you're below. And, I really thought we were going to work back up above there, but we didn't. So, again, I guess you could make this one green because you are looking for a new low. And what you would want to do is use a limit order. And I don't know if you'd have got filled more than right there at the bottom on that one. So then you came down and you broke lower. Now you've got two legs down. This is a second entry long, so that makes this a second entry long. But wait on the trap here. This is not a very good signal bar, so we moved up and then we turned down and then moved up and broke out. So I loved that one right there. That's that typical trap. And I'm gonna make that one blue because you've had your trend line break. You're moved to a new low. A great setup. These are the kind that a lot of times will take off, and there it goes. And I also like this one right here. This was really the first little correction here, and there's been no close outside that trend line. There's plenty of room up to this high. It's really, so I like that one too. And then notice this break here, and then you get that little trap. So there's another good long right there. You are close to these highs right here. You really could have entered on this one, but when you got that trap right there, I like that one. And even though it's close to the highs, I still liked it. When it broke out, you could have tried getting in here with a limit order, but I just, I think a stop is good enough there. And I mean, the bias has been up lately, so you're much more likely to have success closer to the highs than you are the lows when the bias is up. And this is definitely, we traded up into this little range, so the bias is definitely up. And that's something that I don't probably talk about enough. You got to remember to you got to remember that there's always a bias, even on a range day. Did you trade up into that range? Did you trade down into that range? So forth. So I didn't like going short on either one of these either. You wanted to wait on the second entry, and by the time you got it, there's too much overlap right there. So I had a feeling they might try to set a trap, and this is good enough for two legs down and a retest. So I just didn't like that setup right there, or normally that would have been a good short right there. So you really didn't get any good trading for sure stuff almost till 9 o'clock. And another thing right here on this trade, the reason that I still like this one is notice this is a new swing high. This high is higher than this one. First entry, pull back. It's a second entry long that fails when it turns down. So it's a trap. And I'm sure they trapped a lot of longs there because I felt if you're just scalping, I felt like it was good enough to go long almost because of the fact that it's a range day. And again, that's a little aggressive for a long. It's not a great setup. So, and this is still a little bit aggressive for a short because we're so close to those lows. But originally what I was looking for was this being leg one down and a measured leg here, and that was going to put us down here, and so that was one of the things. But I don't know if that was the case. I think you got leg one right there. I think you probably got two legs there, and then you got your correction, and then you got leg one and then leg two, and it's, you can see that it's basically a perfect, maybe a tick extra from being a perfect measured, two measured legs. And so that's what I've seen today so far. It looks like we've got the little break of this, but there could be a little bigger channel here, and that's what you have to be careful of sometimes. Is I would go with that for now and see if we don't get a bounce off that line right there. And you can see that little gap right there. A lot of times you'll be shocked at how those turn out to be like lows and highs of things. There's a reason that prices gap. They gap over these areas a lot of times. So it's very possible that we've got a little channel right here working back down. We'll just have to see. We don't have enough price action really other than to go with what you got. You got a couple of touches here and almost a confirmation. So, we may be working down here. So I just treat this like a trading range until you get enough price action. If I see it bounce off this line and head up, I'd feel pretty confident in this little channel right here. Till then, you just don't know. So, but anyway, that's pretty much what I saw today. Let me know what you think about the chart post, if it was helpful, if you think it's something that you want to see. I don't want to do it for a dozen people, but if we've got, you know, 30, 40 people every day that are interested in it, and it's of value to them, then I think it's worthwhile trying to do it. So if you hadn't already commented on it, give me your comments and we'll go from there. But it seems to be, I probably had 30 or 40 posts on the website, and I've gotten, 15 or 20 emails as well. So I think people are interested in it. And if it's going to work out like I think it is, it shouldn't be that big a deal for me. It shouldn't distract me from my trading too much. Um, so we'll try to do it. We'll test it for a couple of weeks, and people can, give me more feedback after that of whether or not it's helpful. It may seem helpful today, and tomorrow you may decide, this isn't helping me. This is just confusing me or whatever. So, and you may not want to use it anymore. So we will. Another thing about this channel, notice the equal move off both sides. I mean, that almost looks like a mirrored. It almost looks like a mirror the way it shot down here and then corrected and then shot up here and corrected. We didn't get that big move back down like we did the move up, but this overshoot looks very similar. Break of that little trend and a move down, and then a break of this trend and a move up, and they're about equal moves and an equal overshoot. That's really, it almost just looks like a mirror reverse there. And that's a good sign that maybe you've got it right. So not much else I can say today. Otherwise, we're just sitting here watching. You can see this video is 20-something minutes. So in 20-something minutes, we've made 3 bars maybe. Not much happening today. Most of the movement is probably was earlier. Doesn't mean that we won't get more movement. And another thing too, I will say this. There's 2 things I'm going to cover here, and then I'm going to wrap this thing up. But there was a news item at 9 o'clock that turned the market. There was some negative news. I think it was manufacturing. It was a high volatility. It can affect the market. It didn't affect it a whole lot. I mean, it did throw it down here at 9 o'clock, but you see it took it all right back, and that's pretty common. So if you haven't heard me say that before, just remember, whenever you get a news item that makes the market real volatile and it moves real fast, many times it will take that movement back really quickly, within the hour or two, and it'll just kind of like reset and the market starts over from there. And that's kind of what happened today on this move down here. And so I want to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about one other thing because I mention it sometimes and it just really confuses people. But there's a 2-legged move here. So on a smaller level, that's a second entry long. That's the signal bar really of this whole move up. This was the second entry here on a bigger picture. Notice this pullback, first entry, and this is almost the exact thing yesterday somebody asked me about. You got a pullback here, first entry, then it pulls back again, and then it moves higher on a second entry. So it's a second entry counting from here. The count's 0 right here. Pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry. So hopefully you can see that. But notice these 2 little swings here. Notice how the prices turn down, and they trade up, and then they trade back down again. That's a 2-legged move right there. You got to be skilled at reading these bars and seeing this to see that. But if you went to a much smaller chart, you would see that. And actually, hey, I'm going to pause it for a second. Okay, let me explain this to you. Notice you can't see the 2 swings in there on this chart. But if you were to go to a lower, this started at right around 9:55 or so. You can see that the high of that was around 9:55. somewhere between 952 and 955, and the low of that was around 1011 or so. All right, let's go to a slightly, a somewhat smaller chart. Here's your same chart, and it's just on a smaller time frame. It's 500 ticks, and you can see that swing started right in here somewhere, and it ended 1011 right in there. So look at that. There's two swings down. It's a beautiful second entry long, but it's just on a smaller chart. So there's your two-legged swing. So notice your new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. And that's what I mean when I say this right here is a second entry on a smaller chart. So I hope that is clear now, because that confuses people so badly. But then the next thing you know, somebody will say, "Oh, well, I'm watching a smaller chart now to see that." You don't do that. Just forget this until you can spot a regular first, second entry, and then you can work on starting to learn to see these. So I hate to bring it up because it really confuses people and causes people to do dumb things and make mistakes. But that's what I'm talking about when I said that's a second entry right there on a smaller level. If you go to this other chart, you can see there's a clear two-legged correction with a second entry, and look, it's the low of the swing. But if you waited on the second entry, which is counting off the low, first move up, pull back second entry on the bigger chart, you can see that was when the real move started. And now you can see that here, right here. That's right here. So hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm sorry I had a slight interruption there, but you can see that's where counting off the low. Actually, on this chart, notice the low, first entry, pullback, second entry short. It's a failed second entry short on top of that. So, but I will warn you, my theory is don't watch multiple charts, because when you try to stack a couple of charts up here and watch them both, you just distract yourself. Now, I know there's people that do that, and some people have success with it. And so I'm not going to tell you, that you can't be successful using two charts, but I can see it on a single chart, because what's going to happen if you use two? It's like a crutch. What happens when you use a crutch? The leg doesn't strengthen it. If you got a hurt leg and you start using a crutch, you don't really start strengthening that leg until you get off that crutch and you start using that leg. So it's just a crutch, in my opinion, and you'll never learn to see it on a single chart. Everything you need to know to be successful is on this chart right here. Everything. You don't need there's no indicators that are going to tell you anything of value that you can't, or at least there's no indicators going to tell you anything you can't see on this chart. And so there's no need for indicators. Forget them. Learn to see it on the chart, and then you're miles ahead of everybody else, because indicators are based on lagging data. So anything you see based on the use of an indicator, that day you're getting old data. But here on a clean chart, and some people may not say that this is a clean chart based on the lines I use and stuff, but you're still using price action to make all your decisions. The lines just help you see the price action a little better. It puts it in a better to better perspective, because it makes the little channels stick out and the ranges stick out. And that's why to me, it's still the same thing as using naked charts, but you're just drawing lines on here to help you see things. So, but some people, pure price action guys, may say, hey, that's not pure price action, but it's semantics, in my opinion. So, but try to stick to a single chart. Don't get so learn to see it all on a single chart. Understand what I mean when I say it's a second entry on a smaller level. I just showed that to you. I hope that's helpful to people. And if you don't see it now after going over this, and you don't, the first thing you need to do is try to understand second entries, just a basic second entry, because it's amazing that people, I mean, it's hard to describe it in writing. But they're really simple. It's just two legs. That's really all it is. Notice these two legs here. There's one leg down, a pullback, and another leg down. So that's a second entry short counting off that high. Now, when you're looking for them with the trend, when we're trending up, you're looking for them counting off the high. So a pull back, first entry, pull back, and then your second entry. If you make a new high after that on that on that first entry, then you got to count over because now here's a new high. Pull back first entry, and you got a second entry right here, but you didn't have a break of that trend line yet, so I think it was too risky to go long right there. So then we had this. Now you're working down, so you got a new low here. First entry, pull back second entry. That's a failed second entry short, so that's why I like that to the high side. Now that I got more price action, I don't really like that trade right there going up. But I followed. I took some precautions. I was a little bit, um, I'd used the limit order. And if you use the limit order, it was a good trade. You might have. I just can't see what it got there. If you use the stop, 79, I think it's a 4-tick failure. Yeah, it's a 4-tick failure. You might have got filled if you were lucky if you got in early enough, but I doubt it. Um, but it looks like this channel's valid here. You see we bounced right off that. And you saw how I did that. And people will say, you couldn't find that line down there. Well, I just showed it to you in live how I do it. Draw it off the first few swings, copy it, drag it down to where the other side and see if it doesn't hold. And it did. And so I'm thinking we got a valid, this little channel's valid right here. So, but anyway, this is 30 minutes worth. I think we've got enough today. Uh, these kind of days are hard for people. A lot of times, I like them because they're really predictable for the most part if you follow the rules. You can't just blindly go short up here. Notice this was the first break, and you don't want to go short until you know you're working lower. And you might have gone short right there, but I didn't like it because we were above the top and it was holding up there. All the reasons I've already described. But that's what I saw today. Hope you enjoyed the trade example as well. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac, and we'll see you next time.